Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video of mine. So today is March 22nd. It's on a Sunday. It's gotten a little bit chilly today, and yesterday it was like 26 degrees. Today it's only 17. So let me give you a few updates today on the situation in China, in Shanghai, and let me go back and tell you the experience I had when I went to a third-tier city. So I went there for work, and it was quite dramatic the way they still handle this thing. Very dramatic. As soon as we, from the get-go, boarding on the airplane, they had us fill out a lot of information on the app, and fill out all the information like a declaration again. And when we got to the city, we had to again fill out some forms again. And then they noticed a few people had a foreign passport. And then they were kind of directed to a different staff to coordinate this, to check us, and ask us like additional question, like to make sure we didn't come from countries that were heavily affected by this virus, and like Italy, Korea, where else? Yeah, I think any foreign, like outside of China. So there were like 3 people, Chinese nationals who came back from whatever country, and and then there were only like a total 2 foreign nationals, basically me and another person. And so they asked us just basically to make sure we're not coming from another country. So we came from basically Shanghai. So, and then I was, after filling out a few forms, and it was fine. So when we got to the hotel, we got like tons of calls. Like my colleague, who's actually a local Chinese, and he got like a ton of calls from all kinds of like people, because we had to put down our phone number, and then they called us to make sure like, where are you guys coming from, and did you stay in Hubei, and all kinds of questions. And the person who stayed who's with you, is he like he's a foreign national, so where did he just come back from his home country, what have you? And so we got a lot of calls back, and then eventually the police showed up, and so I had to show up while I was working. I had to show up and then answer a bunch of questions and list all the cities I had been in the last 30 days. So I gave him all the information, and apparently it was okay. After that, and they left, I kept working. And then the next day, they kept calling us and then asked us to stop by at the police station to register. We showed up at the police station, so filled up some forms, submitted some forms, and I went back to work, and it was fine. And I actually left the next day, came back to Shanghai. It was like I think the measurements in Shanghai were pretty strict, actually. It looked like in one of these sci-fi movies. So had to fill out the forms again, and a bunch of stuff, and just had to like go to like temperature check and then screen again, bunch of stuff. So eventually it was okay. So that's one of my traveling experience. Now coming to the data. So right now we have 5,900 active cases still. So the decrease about 8% now instead of 10% prior. So it means like the recovery rate is at we have about 500 recovery cases, 400 something, because we have some new cases for mostly all of them from overseas coming back. So coming to Europe and the United States again. Italy has about almost 50,000 cases, and the death rate, or they have 4,800 deaths, means they have a mortality rate of almost 8%. That's pretty high. Apparently, they have a lot of old people actually in Italy, and lots of these, a lot of people smoke too. So, they say the Italians, they smoke like the Turkish people. It's like both countries, they smoke a lot, and that accounts to like the high death rates. Italy has to battle with this at the current height of the coronavirus outbreak. Pretty severe right now, at the mortality rate at 8%. So, which I actually expected when it was like at the rate of 20,000. A week ago, I actually, not a week, maybe like 5 days, I made a video, and I had predicted it going up to 50 to 60,000. We're gonna see, like at a single day, they had like an increase of like 5 to 6,000 more cases, new cases. So I'm gonna expect like this is not the end of it. We're gonna see maybe until like in another week, it's gonna go up to like, oh god, I wish it's not true, but it's gonna go up until maybe 80,000, if not more. Italy is at the stage where they're kind of exhausted, overwhelmed by the number of the current number of patients, despite their, I think, very good advanced health system in Italy. But can you imagine the numbers going up in the United States when more people are getting tested? So it will be horrendous. I'll probably United States, by its larger populations, going up a lot more. Maybe we probably expect it to peak at 100,000 maybe people. So you might ask why the population in China with 1.2 billion people, and it only has so far like 90,000 cases. You look at I think there's a lot of different factors that goes into it. China has a very different system, and the way they tackle this is a very, on news they always use the word draconian, but I think it has some, it wasn't that harsh. I mean I lived here throughout the quarantine. It wasn't even a quarantine. I mean you can still go in and out as you like, and it was just advised, you stay home as much as possible. They didn't force you or anything, if you violate any laws, like if you intentionally try to spit on somebody, or trying to spread the virus intentionally, of course you're violating a law, and you might go to prison, obviously. But then other than that, if you just being normal, just like common sense, stay at home, be responsible, and which a lot of people did actually, because everybody was helping each other. And they have very strict measurements, at each compound of your residency, like a very strict policies basically to just contain the virus. And whereas the policies in Europe is very lax still, I mean, let me go to the numbers in Germany. They have about 26,000 cases with I think only 80 or 90 deaths, which is about only 0.4% of mortality rate, so which is pretty low. And the reason why it's so low is probably Germany has, and again, like a very good healthcare system. So right now with this number of like 26,000 cases, I can still handle the capacity of 26,000. But once the number reached like to I don't know, like Italy 40-50,000, the number of death rates gonna go up like drastically. The reason why is because, you know, in terms of capacity, you know, they're gonna be running out of ICUs, hospital beds in general, and just running out of resources to handle this. So if you have like 10 patients and only one bed left, most likely you're gonna have to make like these choices like they have to make in Italy. Like you're gonna have to decide, you know, who's gonna live and who's gonna die, which is very terrible. So Italy has to do it now. So eventually Germany is going to run into the same problem once they reach the like a certain number of cases, like critical cases. China had the same problem initially, but you know, China can mobilize a lot of stuff within their own country. They have a lot of people and workforce, you know, which is very limited to Germany and Italy. They can just mobilize, I don't know how many staff, you know, within a day, you know, like mobilize a lot of medical staff to go to the epicenter to fight this virus. Build a hospital in 10 days. I doubt Italy and Germany can do this. So that's why the number are going to be a lot higher than in China. Germany can do a lot better. But I think the problem right now is the different states in Germany. They're not unified as, you know, like setting unified like federal basically laws to ban people or quarantine people from making policies and laws to prevent people from going out and doing certain things. So to contain this virus. So they're still debating as to how they're gonna do this, and a lot of people are like very ignorant. They have these I don't know, what was it, a week ago, have these freaking Corona parties, and they didn't take it seriously. I mean, you hear people that are very ignorant, I mean, saying stupid things, and actually Merkel already addressed this issue, like, you know, but people don't listen. That's the problem. I mean, you're gonna have to live with people people being ignorant and harming other people in the society who do really trying to fight this virus. But then, if only like, you know, 80% of the population is making efforts to fight this virus, and then 20% is just messing things up. So there you have this problem. Now coming to the numbers in the United States, it has about, I believe it was 22,000 active cases with 340 deaths. That leaves us to a mortality rate of 1.3%. But these numbers are like the official data, what we know, but we're gonna have to assume that there's a lot more people being infected at this point, because there's not too many test kits available for everybody. So it's gotten better, but still, like before they only had like when it started, like 50 test kits, and now they've gotten a lot more, increased the numbers a lot more. But still, I mean, compared to a population of 300 million people, so then you're gonna expect a lot more active cases, you know, people being infected, and a lot. Unfortunately, there's gonna be a lot of more people dying simply because they're gonna run out of supplies and medical supplies, and then the hospital are going to be overwhelmed by the immensity of work and patients that are gonna need treatments. So let's wait and see what the United States can do actually for the next 2 weeks or so. So my prediction is that it's in China is gonna, I think, not entirely eradicated, but then by the end of April it's gonna be okay again. But most likely they're gonna have to fight with like outsiders coming to China, back to China, that have gotten infected with the virus coming back. So that's probably the main issue they have to fight with. And so people probably gonna continue to wear the mask until this virus has been entirely eradicated, entirely, like, throughout the world, basically. So that won't be happening until like July or August. So we're gonna have to wear a mask until, enjoy our summer with the mask, though, out of precaution. Not probably the government is gonna loosen up with the policies a little bit more and more, and then it's really up to you if you want to wear a mask, like after May or so. So, but I'll expect people continue to wearing a mask just out of precaution, and then just be responsible. Unlike what you see in Europe, when I hear like in Holland and Germany, people just don't wear masks or don't really care. Now Italy got the first taste of the virus, and I have to say, like, usually Europe is like really educated about things like this, but in this case I would say the Americans are like better off. I see at least some people wearing masks or not ashamed of wearing a mask in the people in the States, San Francisco, New York areas, But in Germany, I don't see a single person wearing a mask. And you know why? Because out of shame, think, oh, that's weird if I wear a mask, and people think I'm a weirdo, or they may attack me, or like my relatives in Germany, they don't dare wearing a mask, because even if you wear as a white German person, you already get discriminated wearing a mask. So imagine like if an Asian German person wears a mask, you're gonna not beaten up, but then probably get a lot of stares, and then so I think somebody has to come out and start wearing it. If this continues like this, like everybody's afraid just wearing a mask, and nobody's gonna do it. So somebody's got to go out, like I think Merkel has to wear a mask, at one of these speeches or conference, to tell people, you got to start wearing a mask, just like me and everybody else, to protect yourself and anybody else, to initiate this, otherwise nobody's going to do it. So despite the horrific news we have seen in Italy, where a lot of corpses being transported to a crematory in Italy with like military vehicles, it's pretty scary. And by watching it, it makes you really wonder, like, why a lot of people in Germany don't wear a mask or start protecting themselves and any other people. So I don't know. I still, until this day, I have no idea why they don't start initiating this. I think what they have to do right now is to mandate all people is to wear a mask and all that stuff. I mean, it's not that hard, I guess. I guess they don't have enough supplies of masks in general. Apparently not even the hospitals have enough masks. Oh, actually, I just saw a news 2 days that No, that was the American news that where they only have very limited masks actually to wear. Like they actually assign only like a single mask for the medical staff, each person, like to wear just a plain mask for like use it for 1 week. That's ridiculous. I mean, you don't even have enough for medical staff. How are you going to treat like your patients? I mean, I would understand if you don't have masks for the citizens. Like, even that's unacceptable. That's pretty much it for today. Again, I'll see you guys next time.